Any political news shows, you know that members of the media love to reference polls and polling data, especially during election years. But following the last two presidential election cycles, polls have developed a bit of a reputation among some Americans for maybe being wrong. According to Pew Research, 88% of national polls overstated support for Democrats in 2016. It shot up to 93% in 2020. Polls provide a snapshot of what the electorate is thinking or feeling at a particular time. And while things like new collection methods or different types of questions may alter them, well, you might be wondering if we can really trust their results. So let's dive deeper here. Mallory Newall is the Vice President of Public Polling at Ipsos. She joins us now to discuss full transparency. Scripps and Ipsos, we have a working relationship this election cycle. Mallory, thanks for coming on the race weekend. In the spirit of transparency, I want people to understand polling a bit better. How do polling groups like yours get their results? Are you calling them, texting them? How many people make a good sample size?
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me on. This topic is something that I get asked about a lot. Typically, most of our polls these days are conducted online. I think it's really important to really unpack what we're asking about when we're talking about the polls being accurate. Are we talking about political polls, trying to measure that horse race? Because if we're talking about issue polling and just trying to understand where the American public is at on a wide variety of issues, most reputable public polling organizations continue to return survey results that closely align with independent benchmarks. So surveys definitely have an important role in our society to be a tool to understand the wants, the needs, and the fears of the public as a whole.
You know, when I'm at a political event or this cycle outside a courthouse for a trial, I've heard from people who say, I don't trust the polls, they're always wrong. I mean, you kind of alluded to it there. What do you say to Americans who are just skeptical of a poll popping on their TV screen?
Sure, I get it. Election polling is a really specialized subset of survey research, and it does still face challenges. There's extremely high levels of precision needed to make calls when you're looking at the horse race, right? And polls are designed to be a snapshot in time, yet we're trying to predict what's going to happen and to model what turnout may look like in the future. And that's a really tricky thing to do. I think my recommendation here for the public and the media writ large is to be cautious about over-interpreting or reading too much into very small margins in polls, especially really far out from the election.
What makes you said that a little bit there, so let's dive deeper here. What makes a bad poll? Our viewers are smart. When you see something pop up, maybe one of your competitors does it, you say, I don't like that.
There's a couple things that are red flags for me. One is if you're claiming that the study is representative of the population or representative of a population, but the demographics actually tell a different story. And two is if you're not being transparent about your methods, right? If you're not being open and upfront about the sample size, how the data was collected, how it was weighted, if it's representative or not. These are all things that we at Ipsos attach to every single poll that we release. Belief in transparency right there.
How has polling evolved since 2016? Is Trump tough to poll? Are there people who may say, I don't like him to a pollster, but then actually vote for him when they're in their ballot box by themselves?
Yeah, I think trying to figure out that question of non-response, who's not taking polls, is a critical one. Polling has evolved in a lot of ways since 2016. We're at a point where we're really looking hard at our methods. There is an increasing diversity in the methods used. Most people aren't picking up their phones anymore, right? So we've moved largely away from phones and face-to-face and more so online. But also, I think the quality of online polling matters. And at Ipsos, we've moved a lot of our research to our probability-based knowledge panel. But that's something that the industry is doing as a whole, is trying to diversify our methods and figure out how we can reach people.
You say the internet plays a big role here. I'm immediately thinking of parts of our country that may not have broadband. I mean, we're getting there. More and more people are online. Do you worry that that rural community may not be represented in a poll? Does that keep you up at night?
That is a huge concern. And I'm not trying to make this a plug for our panel in particular, but the Knowledge Panel, this is one of the reasons why we actually send people without reliable internet access a tablet so they can complete surveys. Again, we really try and make sure, as do other reputable polling organizations here in the country, that our survey results, whether we're focused on the issues that matter or how people feel about an election, are really closely aligned with known independent benchmarks that are out there. Because again, surveys are a really valuable tool to understand the hopes, the fears, the top issues that the public cares about.
Mallory Newall, Vice President of Public Polling at Ipsos, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to working with you, too, over the course of this election season. I think we all got maybe a little bit smarter about the world of polling after that brief conversation, although we probably could have gone 30 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Coming up.